Guys, I'm an idiot. I just found out. Did you know about this, Barry? Why didn't you tell me? Okay, now, so there's something in the last chapter of One Piece, chapter 967, that I really should have picked up on. I should have connected the dots there, but I did not, so that's what we'll be here to talk about today. I'm not going to go on a huge rant like I did yesterday with the Joy Boy video, but suffice to say, spoilers for chapter 967 of One Piece. So if you're an anime-only watcher, if you're up to the point in the anime where Luffy apparently attains, Kaioken powers and is fighting Kaido, if you're at that part right now, maybe you should skip out if you're not interested or you don't want to know what's going to happen later in the manga, right? By the way, just for those of you that are going to skip out in a second because of spoilers and all that stuff, you must be really curious right now. Man, what's going on with chapter 967? I've been seeing videos all over the place, spoilers. Something really big must have happened in chapter 967. No, actually not really. You know what it is? Okay, I won't spoil it for you. But in chapter 967, we find out what Goldie Roger's favorite food was, okay? And that's a really closely guarded secret, right up there with the One Piece itself. I mean, Oda's been trying to keep that secret for a long time, but I think he finally was just tired of, he has to keep the One Piece and Roger's favorite meal secret. He can't do both, right? So he finally revealed what Roger's favorite food was. I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is, but it is a pasta dish. Yeah, so you Italians out there, you won the game, but I'm not going to tell you exactly what kind of dish it was, all right? You're just going to have to read the manga to find that out. Okay, so yeah, spoilers for 967, and all right, okay, so last chapter, we see the final road Poneglyph, the one that was purportedly missing, or at the very least, Nekomamushi and Inuarashi had no idea where it was located, okay? So we had one at the whale tree at Zoe. That was the one that the Straw Hats found, and that's the first one that they managed to capture. Then there was the one in the possession of Big Mom in her treasure vault that Brook managed to sneak in and do some awesome Soul King. The Soul King held a private concert, and he managed to get out of there with a Poneglyph etching. Then there's the third one that's located right now at Onigashima at Wano that Kaido has in his possession. But the fourth one they didn't know about. The last time we see it was at Fishman Island, right next to the Joy Boy apology letter Poneglyph, the one that Robin read when she arrived at the Sea Forest. Okay, so it's on Fishman Island, but it's not on the actual main island. It's on the Sea Forest, and it's like way in the backwoods of the Sea Forest. Okay, so they're not displaying it for everybody to see. Okay, so even if you got to Fishman Island and walked around a little bit, you're not going to see it right away. So I bring this up because remember, at one point, even the world nobles were able to reach the sea floor, but the Marines probably don't go down there very often, and whenever the world government does, like we saw with Mule's Guard, they weren't prepared for the journey and they ended up wrecking, because it's a very treacherous sea. So it's a very, very safe place to have that red Poneglyph, that road Poneglyph down there. We see it right next to the Joy Boy one, and Odin and the, Roger pirates, they go up to it. Neptune's there in his younger years. They look at the apology letter that Joy Boy read, then they look at the road Poneglyph, and they're like, okay, we got the coordinates, we got the etching and everything, and that's the last time we see it. So that was about 25 years ago. That was probably during the last year of Roger's journey to Laugh Tale, because they were kind of nearing the end there. So 25 years ago, it was located in the Sea Forest, and now currently in the story, we see that area there. It was right next to it, and it's gone. So we don't know what happened to it. Roger does not mention anything particular about moving it. It's not like Roger says something to Rayleigh, like, hey, Rayleigh, we should take that Poneglyph with us when we leave. Or Neptune's like, you guys should take this. Like, no. None of that is brought up. It's not even mentioned that the Poneglyph is in threat of being attacked or, being found out or discovered by the world government or anything like that. They just get the Poneglyph rubbing and they just leave. The same thing that they do with the Skypian one and everything like that, okay? So, probably wasn't Roger that actually did anything with it, okay? We see that. So, if that's the situation, then it was either Neptune, who's the king of Fishman Island, who has reign over the place, and if he wanted to move something like that, he could probably do it whenever he so chose. Keep in mind, Poneglyphs, they're pretty big chunks of stone. Like, no offense, Barry, but they're pretty heavy. They're really hard to move. That's why most people, whenever you want to learn and, just take a copy of it, you don't steal the whole damn thing. You just make an etching and then you go on with the etching. I guess I would assume take multiple copies of it because you want to make sure if, it's like, okay, men, we take an etching of the Poneglyph, and then the next day there's like a windstorm and it just blows out into the ocean. It's like, crap, alright, we need to go back down to Fishman Island to get another copy. So make sure to copy this down is what I'm saying. But yeah, it's really hard to move the whole thing. I mean, you're going to need a pretty sizable vessel, a lot of manpower to move it. Big Mom was able to get a bunch in her treasure vault at Totland, but she has all of her kids helping her out. She has a Yonko fleet, to quarry a such a rare find as a Poneglyph wherever she needs to go. Jinbei found one in the ruins under the ocean, but he had Watatsume, this giant amongst giants of fishmen, to basically pick it up and carry it around wherever they needed it to be. But unless you have like a giant like Watatsume or a lot of manpower, yeah, you're just gonna leave it where it is. The act of moving a Poneglyph somewhere is kind of a large undertaking, okay? So, I suppose it could have been Neptune. Neptune could have realized maybe at the start of the Great Pirate Era, after Roger died and this Great Pirate Era started, and especially when pirates started, raiding Fishman Island, because every pirate thought, oh yes, I'm gonna follow in Roger's footsteps. We're gonna find the One Piece. So everybody set out to sea, which was probably honestly part of Roger's plan, especially if we're gonna go along with that theory that if he arrived at Raftel or Laugh-Tale a little bit too early and they had to like inspire the next generation, that's the best way to do it. For Roger to stand at the scaffold and just be like, right about facing death, and he's like, if you want my treasure, you can find it. It's out there. And I think this was even brought up at Shaki's bar in Sabaody. Not to get off on a tangent here, but I think it was Sanji or somebody that asked Rayleigh, after Rayleigh was recapping this story about Roger turning himself into the Marines and he's about to be executed at Logtown. One of the Straw Hats asks Rayleigh, like, it sounds like Roger started this great pirate era on purpose. It wasn't a thing that he just said on a whim. Like, he was planning on this. He turned himself in knowing he was going to be executed, knowing it was going to have a large audience, knowing the whole world was going to be watching. And that's why he did it, knowing that this great pirate era was going to start. And Rayleigh's response to that was basically like, well, I'm not really sure if that's what Roger had in mind or not, but that's what happened, all right? It ended up happening. So I could see Roger going down that road, like, all right, we're a little bit too early to get to Laugh-Tale, but I'm going to let the whole world know that we were here and that I left something truly amazing. I'm not going to tell them what it is. I'm just going to leave it up to their imagination, because the great pirate king just says he left some great treasure on some random island somewhere. That's going to wet your whistle. That's going to, I want to see what it is. It's Roger's porn stash. I need to find it. You know who probably had the means and the reasoning to move it somewhere else, or at least hide it, Whitebeard. Yeah, Whitebeard was in control. What happened is, after the Great Pirate Era kicked off, pirates started pouring into Fishman Island, started ransacking the place on their way to the New World, because that's the only way they could get to the New World, the only practical way. The other way is to, go over the top of the Red Line, going through Marijois, and that's going to Fishman Island's dangerous too, but it's like going up there is basically a death sentence. You can't sneak your way through Marijois. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. I don't know if any pirate has ever even attempted it. I'm sure somebody probably has. Like, okay, men, here's what we're going to do. We're going to disguise ourselves as citizens touring the Holy Land, and we're gonna just paint over our Jolly Roger. We're gonna land at the Red Port, get a tourist pass or whatever, go up, walk through Marijois. Oh yeah, this is great. Look at Marijois. Click, click, I'm getting pictures. All right. And then they go on the other side and they, oh man, I can't believe we actually did that. At least some pirates have probably attempted that at the very least, and it probably didn't end out very well for them. So Fishman Island is the main route here. So, pirates started going through, kidnapping mermaids, ransacking the place, partying, and Neptune didn't know what to do. But then that was when Whitebeard arrived. Whitebeard showed up with his crew, and he's like, this island is my territory now! And with one furl of his mighty stash, everybody just stopped screwing with Fishman Island, all right? So Whitebeard was in control of Fishman Island for, I want to say, well over 20 years or so. The Great Pirate Era kicked off right after Roger's executions. That was 24 years ago, and give it a year or two, for the era to really get into full swing and everything. A few years of Fishman Island kind of being in a land of anarchy, kind of, with pirates just, raiding the place. And then after a few years of that, Whitebeard decided, okay, I'm going to take over, and don't worry, you won't have to worry about people messing with you anymore. And he brought peace to the island once again. Okay. Now, when Whitebeard died, Big Mom took up that mantle, okay, where she protected Fishman Island with her banner. And she did a good job. I mean, pirates weren't ransacking the place. I mean, the new Fishman pirates, but that's infighting. That's not the same thing as pirates arriving on the island and causing a ruckus, right? So, Big Mom, though, she required payment for all of that, right? She asked for a certain amount of sweets to be delivered to Totland every month, and if they failed, then she would rescind her protection and even burn the island down, because Big Mom don't screw around with that, right? You know, even when it comes to destroying her own baked goods and her candies, he's just like, you don't pay, if you can't pay the cash, then you're out with the trash, mama, all right. You know, Arlong should really have become a motivational speaker. I think he would have, for kids Arlong especially, right? Well, anyway, so Big Mom asked for something in return. Now, Whitebeard's not the same, he's not that kind of guy where he would, like, ask for money in exchange for this or anything like that. But Whitebeard, after taking over the island, maybe Roger told him, like, hey, there's a road poneglyph here, or even if Roger did not tell him, I'm sure Whitebeard was aware of the significance of the road poneglyphs and how important they were. Someone would have told him that at some point, you know, whether it had been, you know, one of the former members of the Roger crew or even Neptune himself. Yeah, Whitebeard could have, you know, he's like, I will protect Fishman Island, and Neptune's like, thank you, Whitebeard, we're forever in your debt. And they could have gotten to talking, like Neptune and Whitebeard could have shared some sake cups or whatever, and, you know, Neptune could have talked about, oh yeah, Roger came here a few years ago, and he wanted to see this red poneglyph in the forest. Apparently it leads you to the last island, and even if Whitebeard didn't know about them, he'd be like, what? Neptune would show him and be like, here you go. Apparently Neptune wouldn't know how to read them, but he's like, yeah, apparently there's 4 of these from what Roger and Odin said, and once you get all 4, you get to find out where it is. You know, Big Mom has 1, the other one's in Wano, and the last one's at Zoe. Maybe Whitebeard felt like, tell you what, Neptune, is it okay if I take this? Now, once again, this is like part of their history, but, you know, we're kind of forever in Whitebeard's debt, and he's a cool guy, and, you know, I'm sure Neptune and Whitebeard were, like, good friends, so they shared sake cups together. And Whitebeard has a good reason for doing it. He's not just gonna steal it. He's gonna be like, hey, Neptune, tell you what if I take this road poneglyph and hide it somewhere so no one ever gets it? Because as long as I think Whitebeard was smart enough to realize, hey, as long as I have this stone in my possession with my crew, and if I hide it somewhere good, no one can get to Laughtail. So maybe Whitebeard, in a sense, was like, the only person that's allowed to get to Laughtail is, like, someone that I find worthy of following in Roger's footsteps. Remember, Whitebeard was not a big fan of the Great Pirate Era. He kind of felt like it was a bunch of... Shiki was the same way. They felt like a bunch of upstart brats were getting ahead of themselves. Like, oh yeah, every small town gang, every bandit crew on every island from here to the sunset is gonna be like, we're pirates now, you know? Whitebeard remembers back when it was like real piracy. He was on Rox's crew. He hung out on Full of Lead Island or the Beehive Island, all right? Then all of a sudden, every little Captain Hook, you know, wants to make a name for themselves, comes out of the woodwork and be like, you know, taking out a script like, Yarg, I am Captain Greenbeard, you know, and Whitebeard didn't like that very much. He felt like it was kind of like watering down what great piracy was, really. So maybe Whitebeard, from his perspective, was like, I have a road poneglyph right here. I'm going to take this, hide it somewhere, and if someone wants to get to Laughtail, they have to kind of meet my approval first. Maybe that was the logic here. Or at the very least, Whitebeard did not want someone evil to find Laughtail, okay? Because this was something very, very sacred to Whitebeard. You know, Roger was a great friend. He was like, Roger and only a few other people, probably like Garp, Sengoku, Shiki, were people that could actually, and like Rox and everyone, were like people that can actually clash with Whitebeard. Whitebeard can actually have a good battle with, right? So, he didn't want someone reaching it by accident or just stumbled upon the road poneglyph like, I'm going to Laughtail! You know, so Whitebeard's like, all right, I'm gonna take it. Now, if that was the case and Whitebeard moved it, where would he move it? Well, I've seen a lot of people saying that he would hide it on his home island, Sphinx Island, the place where Marco's at right now, where it's like a deserted island on the surface, but you go through a waterfall into a cave, and there's this nice little peaceful village where sphinxes are running around, and it's called Sphinx Island, and Marco's there, and he's helping the citizens, and they're not pirates. They're just ordinary citizens living in the new world in this safe haven that Whitebeard built with the money that he raised being a pirate, because he grew up there and it was like a war-torn country, and he just wanted that place to be a peaceful land, you know, where like just people can live their lives in happiness and they don't have to worry about pirates and crap around them, right? Not like he did when he grew up in basically poverty, okay? Not basically, he grew up in poverty in a world war-torn country, right? So that's the reason why I'm like, why would he hide something that important and dangerous where everybody wants to find and the Yonko are looking for? Why would he hide that in a peaceful village that he doesn't want to get involved in the fighting? That doesn't make any sense to me, right? Because it's just like, Whitebeard's like, okay, well, Big Mom and Kaido are going to be looking for this, so I'm going to move it so they don't find it. Okay, cool, that makes sense. I'm going to take it and put it on the island that I absolutely want to stay safe and peaceful for the rest of time. That doesn't make any logical sense to me. I mean, I understand where people could come from that, because it's like, this is Whitebeard's island, he built it and everything like that, but no, he wants that place to stay far away and removed from everything. He doesn't want the fighting to ever reach that place. It might very well get to that point, though, because Edward Weevil is stomping around, and he might eventually find that place, because they might think Whitebeard's inheritance is there or something, and, you know, that's why Marco decided to stay and protect it in case Weevil did show up. Now, going back to Marco, though, who is currently on the island, as far as we know. Last time we saw him, he was chatting it up with Nekomamushi, talking about the island and all that stuff. Marco did say to Neko, he's like, listen, I can't go with you to Wano. I have to stay here. I have to protect this place in case Weevil or somebody else really strong attacks it, okay? That's all I can do right now. The Whitebeard crew is disbanded. I have to protect Pops' dream, basically. But Marco did add on to that. He's like, but if you are going to Wano and you are going to go see Straw Hat Luffy, Ace's brother, then I want you to tell him something for me. I want you to give him a message. And so Marco gives a message to Neko for Luffy. We don't know what that message is. If Whitebeard was in possession of a road poneglyph and he hid it somewhere, then it stands to reason that Marco and at least his top commanders, the ones that have been on the crew for a long time, would know about its location. Maybe not every single person in the crew, every single ally would know where it is, but like we're talking Jozu, Marco, Vista, the ones that have been on the crew ever since the very beginning, would have known where it is. Considering also Marco was he was the first division commander, but he was kind of like the vice captain, first mate of the Whitebeard crew, basically, right? And so he feels like it's his duty to protect the place. But he's also like, well, oh yeah, there's also that road poneglyph. Luffy won't be able to get to Laugh-Tale. He won't be able to become the king of the pirates unless he has the etching or he knows where that poneglyph is. So I can understand, you know, after the Marineford War and after, you know, he came to save his brother and his brother died anyway. All the other stuff Luffy's getting into, fighting the Yonko. Marco, I'm sure, stays up to date on all this. I'm sure Marco is aware of what Luffy's up to and his current bounty and all the stuff he's pulling off, and he's looking for the road poneglyphs and everything. So I'm sure Marco has no reason to not tell Luffy. It'd be like, yeah, he's gonna need the last road poneglyph. Don't worry, I know where it is. It's on, you know, Blibbity Blue Island. And Nekomamushi's like, Blibbity Blue Island. I remember that place in my youth. Yeah, Blibbity Blue Island. Crazy place, but that's where the poneglyph is. I should have known it was on Blibbity Blue. Yep. So Nekomamushi's gonna go whenever he arrives at Wano, which I hope it's soon, because the fight is kind of starting, you know, after we get out of this flashback. But whenever Nekomamushi arrives, it might not even be until after the battle. It might not be until well after the battle. Nekomamushi might arrive halfway through it, and they fight Kaido and Orochi, and all the freaking calamities are there, and the gifters, and they're fighting everybody. And then well after the battle is over, and whoever wins, wins. You know, Kaido is defeated, Orochi's dethroned. After all of that, smoke settles, and Nekomamushi's like, all right, woo! That was a crazy fight. Luffy, by the way, Marco wanted me to tell you this. He knows where the last road poneglyph is. All you gotta go is to this island and it'll be there, right? It always goes back to Elbaf. I'm not going to go on and on about Elbaf, but hey, Whitebeard gets a road poneglyph and he's like, here Giants of Elbaf, protect it, okay? Some people have said, and this is also especially because what I brought up in one of the last videos where I think it was the review where I was talking about this, I'm like, isn't it interesting that one road poneglyph was given to the Minks to guard. One road poneglyph was given to the Fishman and the Merfolk to guard. One of them was on Wano, guarded by humans. And then the one at Big Mom in her possession that we don't know where she got from. But, you know, Totland itself is a place where all these different races of the world come together. Wouldn't it be possible if the one that Big Mom had in her possession came from Elbaf? they were setting up that that might have been part of the reason where, like, Lola was about to get married to Loki and everything was good there, and then Big Mom did some trickery to rob them of the road poneglyphs. The Giants were already not particularly fond of Big Mom, but, they hated her for what she did. That, she killed one of their national heroes, so they're never going to forgive Big Mom, but Loki just fell head over heels in love with Lola, so that at least got the Big Mom pirates, like, an in to Elbaf again, like, tentative, like, it's like, well, we still we don't forgive you, Lin, but Loki is our prince, or, we care about him. He fell in love with Lola. What are you gonna do, right? It's like a Romeo and Juliet kind of story. You can't marry a Charlotte, Loki, what they did to us, kind of stuff like that. Now, honestly, that probably is what happened. And then Lola eventually decided to skip out, and the Giants hated Big Mom even more. But I wonder if in the midst of all that, Big Mom managed to yoink and still, well, no, wait, no, actually, that couldn't have happened. I'm sorry for building that hype up. I'm sorry. No, the timelines don't sync up, because Lola is 26 right now. She was born 26 years ago. And at this point, Roger had already went to Big Mom's, island, Whole Cake Island in Totland. He had already got an etching of the road poneglyph. Sorry, guys. Sorry, that happens every now and then. We're a theory. Just wait for it. Oh, no, it died. Okay, that was dead on arrival. Okay, but it was an interesting idea. And still, the Giants might still have one if Whitebeard took it and gave to them. It would either be one of two options. It would be either find an island that's deserted, that's well hidden, that's hard to get to, that no one would ever think that a road poneglyph is on, and hide it there, like in a cave under the ocean or something. You have to follow, like, this specific pattern to get there or whatever, and then just hide it there away from prying eyes. Or the second option is give it to an island or a race of people or a group of people that for a fact are trustworthy and that will protect it with their lives. That's the other option. You could do that, right? So take that whatever you will, whatever Whitebeard would have done if he was very well the one that moved it. But yeah, if it wasn't Whitebeard, I can't really think of anyone else it would have been unless Neptune himself and the rest of, like, the merfolk, like the Ammonites or whatever, all, like, moved it somewhere else. But you figure if that was the case, and it was still within the perimeter of Fishman Island, Neptune is indebted to the Straw Hats after they saved the place from the new Fishman pirate. They saved the whole island from being destroyed. You'd think if it was within Neptune's power to provide the road poneglyph to Luffy and the Straw Hats to make the etching, or if at least Neptune knew where it was, he would have told them. So I think that kind of lets the idea be known that Neptune no longer has any idea where it's located. He doesn't even have an idea. It's like, oh yeah, Whitebeard moved it somewhere, he never told me where it was at, and then Whitebeard died, so I got no idea where it's at now. But yeah, although I do still find it a little funny that Neptune at least didn't bring it up. He's like, well, Luffy, because especially since Luffy's like the spitting image of younger Roger, because Roger looked pretty much just like Luffy. He had the same straw, he just didn't have the scar, but when he was clean shaven, he looked just like Luffy. You think Neptune would have been like, Luffy, you saved our island from the new Fishman pirates, and you also saved the island itself from being completely destroyed by the Noah, at great personal risk to yourself, and you've been injured and everything like that. The fishmen and the merfolk of Fishman Island and myself, the king, are indebted to you. You think Neptune would know, oh, you're trying to get to the end of the Grand Line. You're trying to be king of the pirates. Luffy's going around saying that stuff literally every 10 minutes, like Kaiser Kuoni, Ori Wanara. He's like, oh, you want to be king of the pirates? Well, you're going to need a road poneglyph to help you out with that. I don't know where mine is because Whitebeard moved it years ago and he's dead now, but hey, maybe look for Marco or Jozu or one of the commanders of the Whitebeard crew. They might know where it's at. You think Neptune would have said maybe something like that, at least maybe to Robin, because Robin was kind of grilling him about all that, like, who's Joy Boy? What's up with the poneglyph? Neptune doesn't even mention a road poneglyph even existed there. I think he would have, he was a little bit drunk, to be honest with you. He thought Robin was hitting on him for a second. But it's like, yeah, that's a little weird. You think Neptune would have at least brought up the Straw Hats would have found out about the existence of the road poneglyphs on Fishman Island. Okay, maybe not even that, because, like, Neptune doesn't know everything about the road poneglyphs like the minks do, right? He doesn't know the whole story, right? But you think maybe Neptune could have said something like, there was a type of poneglyph that was on this island. It was a red poneglyph. I don't really know much about it, but it was on this island, and apparently you need this to get to Laughtail. I don't know much more about it, though. Look for other places. You'd think he would have at least said something like that, but he didn't, and I guess there might have been a reason for that, or maybe that was just an oversight on Oda's part. I don't know. But, yeah. So point is of this video that Marco's message to Nekamamushi, I bet you dollars to donuts, if Whitebeard was involved in the moving of this poneglyph, which I highly think he was, that was the message, and after the war, they're gonna find out where it's located, and that's gonna be the next destination of the Straw Hat crew to find the next road poneglyph. That might be an island that's already been referenced, like Elbaf. It might be a completely new island. It might be Lodestar. Who knows? But that's, I think, the connection that I should have made in the review, is that Whitebeard, ruled over Fishman Island for a long time, or protected it for a long time. He would probably been the one that moved it. Okay, well, anyway, yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Let me know in the comments below where you think the last road poneglyph is. I think I feel like I've made 3 different videos throughout 2019 talking about the location of this damn poneglyph, so I kind of just want to find out where it is at this point, but I'm pretty sure at the end of the battle at Wano, and we get out Marco's message, we're gonna find out what that is, where it's located. I think we're gonna get that stuff coming up here. So just sit tight into 2020. Probably gonna find out where it is. Thanks for watching, everybody. Tekking signing out.